This podcast contains potentially adult language, adult themes, definitely drinking, and possibly sexual context. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Drinking with Authors, the literary briefs edition. We've all changed, so we're only in our underwear. Just kidding. I'm your host, Erica Lance. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course, leave a review if you'd like. If you want to be on the podcast, or there's an author you'd like to listen to on the podcast, don't forget to email us at drinkingwithauthors@gmail.com. And our sponsor today is Skunk Brothers Spirits. Coupon code DWA10 gets you loads of yummy alcohol, which we're a fan of. So today, my co-host, and we'll see what happens from now on, because she can sense when dogs are going to bark at her, who skills she has.
Mute button malfunctions because I'm trying not to be the noisy interrupter, but I'm still the noisy interrupter regardless.
Yes, you did. So stop trying, because it's getting worse. So my co-host today is Valerie Willis, and our amazing guest is Alexi Vandenberg. So woo!
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Let's talk about what we're drinking, because I forgot to do that at the start of the last one. I have a Post-it reminding me of things. I'm almost done, but I was drinking fruit punch and Tito's vodka in my Drinking with Authors swag. Nice. So kind of amazing. Val, what concoction allows you to sense when dogs are going to bark?
My spin on an Irish coffee, and I added caramel, so sugar, caffeine, and alcohol. It's a great combination.
Yes, it is. We do not drink and drive. Okay, Alexi,
I have a sparkling wine.
Sparkling wine, but you're now finishing the bottle with us?
Yeah, I just pretty much finished the bottle. You guys are bad influences on me. My God.
Oh, I know. Many an author will tell you that.
This is a good thing.
Okay, so ready for our rapid fire questions?
All set.
What is your favorite book of all time?
Oh God, that's like asking me what my favorite molecule is. I'll give you my top.
Do you have a favorite molecule?
Huh?
Do you have a favorite molecule?
Of course I do.
What is your favorite molecule?
Hydrogen.
That's a good molecule. That's a good molecule. Okay, so what is your favorite book?
I'll give you my top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll give you my top 5 IPs. 9 Princes in Amber.
Okay.
Wild Cards.
Okay.
Myth Adventures.
Ooh, okay.
You have to put Lord of the Rings in there because it's the example, and because I had a dark and edgy phase, I'd have to say Elric of Melnino Bay.
Awesome. What about your least favorite book?
Oh God, you're gonna get me in trouble. Okay.
We get a lot of people in trouble.
Yeah.
It can be used as a bad example.
The word. And I'll add a 6th in there as another favorite. The Antrag Windrose Chronicles by Barbara Hampley. It's also spectacular.
Very cool.
Especially the first book, and it's a duology. Silent Tower and the Silicon Mage, spectacular. The worst book I ever read. That's a tough one because there have been some really big, juicy ones. I would have to say the worst book that I ever read was by this guy who he came up to me, and I feel terrible about it because he came up to me and he's like, "Hey, Mr. Vandenberg." I'm like, "Alexi, please." He's like, I want you to give this book to Jim Butcher." And I'm like, "Well, Jim Butcher will not read that." He's like, "Why not?" And it was like it was a manuscript. It was clearly a manuscript. I was like, "Why not?" I was like, "Well, because Jim, first of all, is really busy, and second of all, that's really not something that we think is a good idea." And there's a list of reasons why you should not do this. And he's like, okay. I was like, however, the gentleman over there is an acquiring editor from this press. If you want to pitch to him, that might be a great idea. So he goes over, and afterwards, the acquiring editor comes up to me and goes, yeah, he asked me how to pitch to Jim Butcher. I was like,
Hey, you know what? He cleansed the gene pool there, made it really easy on that editor.
so about a day later, right after being on a panel with him, Larry Correa, Brandon Sanderson, and Jim Butcher, in which I'm like, guys, I am not the acquiring editor. I am not an editor. I am the marketing guy. And this is before Prince of Cats. But still, even to this day, I mean, I would know an Oxford comma if it came and did a dance in my apartment. I don't. I know what sells. That is my skill set. I have people who I ask to do the editing, the review, and all of that to tell me whether I am correct or not. But as long as they give me the pitch, I go, yeah, that's a book that I think we could move with. So here comes the fun. I'm the guy who says, don't do this. Don't bring a book to me. I am not the guy who does that. I am at the end of the process. After a publishing house gets their book, I am the guy that they come to and go, we bought this. How do we make money on it? That's my job.
Yeah.
So, I am not a super secret extra path to get to publishing. That just doesn't work. So, sure enough, I went to the bathroom afterwards, not in the panel, just to specify. I went to the bathroom and I am literally on the bog. And as I am on the bog, this manuscript comes underneath the stall and is put down. And I'm like, you had to, and I said this, I was like, you had to have followed me from the panel where I said about professional ethics and being professional. Do you honestly, genuinely think you giving me a book while my pants are down around my ankles is a particularly good idea?
He does have a captive audience.
Captive.
It's how you look at it. Captive audience. You're not going anywhere. Depending on how long you're going to be.
You can't run away now.
So I was like, don't make me pick this up. And I know it was the guy. I know it was. I was like, don't make me pick this up. I haven't looked at it yet. If you make me look at it, I'm going to be using you as an example of what not to do forever. Don't make me be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. I'm trying to do the good Slytherin thing. Don't make me be bad Slytherin. I want to be good Slytherin. Please. And he's like, his hand reaches underneath the door, picks it up, takes it out. So I get done. I am done. I get up. I leave the bathroom. Jim and Brandon and Kevin are looking at me as I'm walking out of the bathroom because I must have had a mug on my face that could stop a clock. And they're like, "You okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm not okay. I love my job. I love doing this. I'm good at this. I'm amazing at it. And you know what? If it means that I'm going to be harassed with my pants down around my ankles on the bog, you can have it."
And welcome to the position of editors and literary agents around the world. I've heard some stories.
Oh, so then,
Brilliant masterpiece.
so then he comes to the booth the third time. Okay, because we've had the booth, the bathroom, and back to the booth. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Vandenberg, I wanted to give you this book." I was like, "Sure. I know it's you, but I'm not going to say anything because you did the wise thing." Okay. And he's like, "It's probably not very good." I was like, "Well, wow, talk to me, you sexy bastard." And he's like, "What?" I was like, "Seriously, you don't have confidence in your work, then why am I going to read it?" But there's a fine line there between too much confidence and not enough. So I read the first chapter, and it literally was the worst thing I wanted my syllables back, and the fact that he had so many ellipses. Like, God, the ellipses. Please stop with the ellipses. The ellipses hurt.
Or the dashes. Oh, I've seen my share.
Oh, but this was like, when you start your opening chapter with an ellipses and then a phrase. Holy crap!
It's hard to do drop caps that way, man.
So what I've heard from this is you want more ellipses. It's like cowbell. You want more ellipses. Do you see how I brought that Christopher Walken reference back? I just want to point out how good that was with the vodka I've had.
I have a fever. Yeah, no.
So, what is your favorite book that was turned into a movie or a TV series that you think they did a really good job with?
Oh God, that's a tough one.
We like to see people sweat and struggle because it's interesting how fast people struggle on this one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would have to say, just because it's really, it's such a bad movie and such a great book, Millennium.
But I wanted what you thought was a great movie or a great.
I know. I mean, because actually the movie had a
reverse question I ask after is, where do you think they did a terrible job with it? So
okay, well then Millennium hurt. Millennium hurt my soul because I saw the movie first, then read the book, and I thought this is a terrible movie. Then I saw the book and I read the book, and I'm like, wait a minute, this book, I've read this plot somewhere before, and then I realized the movie was the plot of the book. And then read it, then watched the movie again, and I'm like, all right, that's not half bad. I would actually have to say the best book that they have adapted into a movie
or TV show. I feel like the wine is entering into this conversation.
Yeah, I know.
I'm blocking some of the things. Like the look you keep having on your face was like, I've almost been cheating now. Because
there are three that I would
to the pin.
There are three that I would definitely say.
Okay, what are the three?
Jurassic Park, the original.
Yes.
Okay.
Spectacularly done. I mean, Crichton's work gave so much more depth to Ian Malcolm in particular, because I love that character in the book, and as much as I love Jeff Goldblum, and he started talking about chaos theory, I found the novel had far more nuance to it.
Well, it was also an adult novel. That was a kid's movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, okay, what is number two?
Number two, I would have to say The Expanse.
A lot of people say The Expanse. They did a really good job with that.
They did an amazing job on The Expanse.
And number
actually,
three,
I will put it this way. That is one, after you get past the first 5 episodes or 3 episodes, that series is spectacular, and they actually wallpaper over a lot of the narrative problems I have in the book.
Okay. And then number 3.
I would have to say Johnny Mnemonic.
I like Johnny Mnemonic. A lot of people don't nearly appreciate that for a cyberpunk player like I am.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
gonna
you're a
say
cyberpunk player?
Yes, yes.
As a cyberpunk player, Johnny Mnemonic kind of
Johnny
resonated.
Silverhand.
Yeah. By the way, what do you play? I have to ask that.
It
Corpo.
really depends, but most of the time, sort of like more like a fighter class, but a juiced up fighter class, like where the preacher kind of went to, almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm more corpo techie hacker.
Now,
chick.
see, I love playing my street kid, and I love silenced pistols. Silenced pistols are my bag.
Yeah, no, it's been. I know there's a video game. My boyfriend plays the video game that came out where you get to fight with Keanu Reeves. I know Val's playing that right now. Right now,
Yeah.
I'm playing Tiny Tina's, so that's where I'm living and breathing because I love Borderlands. Anyway, okay, cool. What if you could be any paranormal mythical creature, what would you be?
Paranormal mythical creature.
Or you can choose either.
Choose one.
Paranormal, mythical. What would you be?
I would be Odysseus.
Odysseus. Oh.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why are you choosing that?
Because Odysseus was both. First of all, he is probably the example of a guile hero, which I don't think we have enough of in fiction. He's a combination of Bugs Bunny, Wile E. Coyote, and frankly, Batman.
Does he have billionaire gadgets? Just kidding.
I mean, Greek mythological ones, kind of, but, not really. I mean, for the most part, you have like Achilles who's tricked out with like, I'm invulnerable, I'm super strong. And so like everybody, but like Odysseus was the guy who's like, yeah, I'm just a guy, I'm going to use my brain.
With shitty luck.
And it has really shitty luck, right? Super shitty luck. And, like I said, he's Bugs Bunny, Wile E. Coyote, and Batman all rolled into one. Probably more Wile E. Coyote than Bugs and Bats, but they're still in there.
Okay. Well, then, if you could be any main character of a book, but you have to live their life, who would it be?
I would love to have been Harry Dresden, except for the fact that honestly, he needs some deep. I need some deep therapy if I'm going to be Harry Dresden. Like,
well, you have to live his life exactly. So that's
okay. So no therapy. Then that doesn't count. Then honestly, Matt Calhoun from Wheel of Time.
Okay. Who would be your sidekick? And you can still pick from anywhere. Who would be Alexi's sidekick if you could pick a sidekick from any book?
Jack Vance. Or not Jack Vance. God, I can't remember the character's name from Dying Earth. Help me out.
You're talking to somebody who's had way too much vodka to help you out.
Okay. I'm working on it.
This is why we do.
Actually, no. You know who I would choose if I'm going to be Matt Calhoun?
You don't know. You can just have this person be your sidekick, Alexi's sidekick, follow you around everywhere.
Yeah, I know. But if I'm going to be Matt Calhoun, because you said that, then my sidekick would have to be Waldo Brothers.
Okay. Cool.
Because I need somebody who's going to kind of, whack me on the side of the head on occasion. Go, dummy, come on, keep it straight.
Okay, so you read a lot. What kind of books do you like? Do you like paperback, ebooks, audiobooks?
Yes. The answer is yes. Now, if you're not, you can't see my. We're in the library right now, so like I have lines of books, ranging from ones that I've published to ones I haven't published to ones that I've had for like a while.
What is your favorite book to reread?
My favorite book to read, actually, there are 5 that are on my perennial list. I read them
You
every
go
year.
with 5s. This is interesting. Go for it.
First book that I read perennially is actually The Silent Tower.
Okay.
The second book that I read perennially is Doors of Perception,
Okay.
Neuromancer,
Sounds
Okay.
Sailor on the Sea of Fate,
Okay.
and then honestly, I do read The Fountainhead because I find it so objectionable yet fun at the same time.
You're cool. But Val, what is your number 1 book you reread? I've never asked you that.
Now you're firing at me.
Jacques!
Who you just Arnold Benedict over there.
Well,
I'd
you
have
are
to say,
so much today.
man. Usually it's I go back and forth. It's an author that I circle back to, and she inspired. It's Robin McKinley, and it's either The Blue Sword, The Deer Skin, or Sunshine.
All right.
Go ahead, now ask me mine.
What's yours? What's yours?
Bimbo of the Death Sun. Have you ever read Bimbos of the Death Sun? So it's written by a woman. It's a small book. It's actually very small, but it's written by a mystery writer. Her name is Sharon McCrum. And she wrote this book probably in the 80s, and it nails the way conventions were. Like the whole premise is this professor wrote this entire dissertation on sunspots and the effect on computers. So that tells you how old this is, right? But his publishing company put a fur-clad bikini person on the cover and called it Bimbos of the Death Sun. And they make him go to conventions to sell this book. And so his girlfriend is totally into nerd culture and stuff, and they go, and then there's a murder at this convention, which they have to help figure out. But she nails this subculture like completely, the way conventions were when, for instance, Alexi was 7 and went to his first Star Trek convention, which I'm sure was in the basement of a hotel somewhere that
Absolutely
wasn't on the marquee. Like,
people say, like, Alexi, you were one of the creators of TachyCon. I was like, yes. They're like, that was the largest fan-run convention in Central Florida. It's like, at the time. By the way, I thought it was a big deal back then. I had 5,000 people, and like at the time, it was like, you're sitting there with the money going, now 5,000 people. I feel like a complete hypocrite when somebody goes, "Can you bring the tower to my show?" I'm like, how many people do you attend? 7,000. I'm like, no, no, I cannot.
yeah, no, it's definitely a different culture. Oh, who's your favorite Star Trek character?
Oh, my favorite Star Trek character would actually have to be, well, which Star Trek are we talking?
Doesn't matter. Just
Doesn't
favorite
matter.
Star Trek character.
From that universe or that.
My favorite Star Trek character would actually have to be, I like Sulu.
See, I like Q.
You like Q?
Q is probably my favorite.
No, I can't.
He'd be, that's what I would be if I was in the Star Trek universe. I would be a Q. I'd be like, let's just, you know what, here, Borg space. There you go. Fuck you.
Now, see, now you didn't tell me that I could be him, because honestly, if that's the case, Cisco.
He's badass.
Cisco's an interesting cat in Star Trek.
Yeah.
He really is, because I use this example that when people go like, who's the best captain? I say like Cisco, and they're like, what? Not Kirk? Not Picard? I'm like, no. The Cisco is the best captain. They're like, how can you say that? I was like, let's just look at this in perspective. When the Borg were done ruining Captain Picard's life, he went to his office afterwards and drank some Earl Grey. When the Borg were done ruining Cisco's life, The first thing he did is fume at it from an escape pod. Then decided to build a spaceship that's only function is to kill Borg. I mean, it's a set of guns with an engine attached to it. I mean, and he calls it Defiant. And I think the only reason he called it Defiant is because, honestly, his first name for it, they wouldn't allow past the censors, which is Ben Sisko's Pimp Hand. I mean, look at the thing. It's a set of guns with an engine strapped to it. That's the only function of the Defiance. I can appreciate that. Now, that's just cool. Now, honestly, Sulu, just because he gets to pilot the Enterprise and ends up commanding the Excelsior, which I think is amazing.
Cool. Okay. Favorite weird food combination?
Favorite weird food combination?
Yeah.
Or one that I have actually that I've actually witnessed and had.
Oh, your favorite.
One that you will eat or have eaten in the past and enjoyed in secret, and it's no longer a secret now.
Necco wafers. Necco wafers are my favorite candy of all time. Now, everybody else is like, why? It's chalk, Alexi. It's chalk with sugar. I'm like, yes, and I love it. I've loved it forever. I love them. And, Necco wafers are my bag. I actually had a lovely author whose name is Shoshana Edwards once tried to cheer me up by shipping me Necco wafers because I can't find them anymore. And, she's like, here, Necco wafers. And I was like, great.
That's not a combination. That's just one food.
Combination. That's just one food.
You have to have a combo.
Okay, then I probably had Necco wafers with some wine at some point. Because
that's a terrible idea.
It was a terrible idea. It's not the worst. It's not the worst I've had. By the way, if you're ever in Russia or around Russian people, do not drink the funny root beer.
Okay.
Ever. Trust me.
Because what did you do on the funny root beer?
Well, very simply. First of all, everyone thought I was Russian because Alexi. It's not. It's because my mom is a fan of Russian literature. It might have actually set up my entire life because you named me after a character in Russian literature. Where did you think this was going to go? But the other part, which is also a lot of fun, is that when people say Alexi, they think that I'm very Russian. So these guys that I was working with are like, Alexi, no nish, have some kvass with us. Now, kvass is the funny root beer. And I took a sip of it, and I wasn't drinking at the time because I was on the job. And I was like, oh, it's funny root beer. Now, what I didn't realize is that in Russia, they ferment everything. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So kvass is essentially you take a soda bottle, you put a bunch of bread into the neck of it, and some water and some sugar, and you ferment it forever.
Okay, forever.
So when you're drinking, so what I am tasting, and it doesn't taste like alcohol, what I am drinking tastes like funny root beer. What it essentially is rocket fuel. I could power the space shuttle on this bad boy. Okay? You just pour this in the gas tank, you could drive for miles at an end. We don't have a gas problem if we actually had kvass. Okay?
Good to know. DeLorean. We'll do that. Okay.
So, drinking the fermented bread, bad idea, especially if you don't know what it is.
Okay. Now we're educated. Now I feel educated. Okay, Val.
Yes.
This is gonna wrap up. Look, there she is. Woo! You get the final question.
I get final question. Oh man.
Why
do you always put me on the pressure like this? Since you've been going to the convention circuit, give me your top 3 favorite conventions of all time.
Top 3 conventions of all time: PensaCon, DragonCon, and Salt Lake City Comic Con.
There we go. There we
Very
have
cool. Okay, shameless self-promotion time, Alexi. How do people find you and your various personalities?
I thought we did that one, but okay. Very simply, you can catch me on any number of websites, including bardstower.com, rabidfanboy.com, theprinceofcats.com. You can also catch me on any number of social medias, both as my own persona, but also through Prince of Cats, Bard's Tower, Rabid Fanboy. If you want to email me personally, info@rabidfanboy.com is probably the easiest way to do it. Friend me on Facebook, talk to me. I'm pretty easy with my time and my energy. So.
And he looks like a pirate if you get to meet him in person.
Yes, I have a big fluffy hat.
I think it's a musketeer.
I like pirate better. What the is wrong with you?
And then
Pirate musketeer.
he was also dubbed Steampunk Jesus one time.
Oh God, steampunk Jesus! That's actually why the hat and the coat came, is because
That was
I was at a show, and I always keep attention to like new trends and so on and so forth. So I'm walking by and I hear Steampunk Jesus, and I was like, well, that's a new one. I don't know what Steampunk Jesus is. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, I mean, it's pretty long. So, you know, they're like, Steampunk Jesus. I'm like, oh, okay. So as I'm going around the convention, this is becoming more prevalent. Like people talking about Steampunk Jesus, you know, and it's become like operatic. Like there are people who are like, Steampunk Jesus. I'm like, you know, and I'm calling my assistant up and I'm like, okay, find me everything about Steampunk Jesus. Whatever this is, it's going to be huge, right? I want to get on the ground floor of this. And she's like, I can't. Okay. So, you know, my poor believer assistants. So like she's sending me stuff and I'm like, no, that's just a cross. That's a cross with gears glued to it. That's not it. No, that's stupid. Yeah, and all of it. And meanwhile, I'm like going nuts trying to think about what, you know, this is, because everywhere I go, I'm hearing Steampunk Jesus. So finally, I'm walking across the convention parking lot and I hear Steampunk Jesus. And I realize with dawning realization
it's you
and horror,
You're Steampunk Jesus.
I'm Steampunk Jesus. So now that was my first mistake. My second mistake was actually telling the authors at dinner that I am Steampunk Jesus,
because that became your new name.
this was now a never-ending thing, especially since Mario Acevedo, who is a brilliant author and a close personal friend, if not, there would be very little reason for me not to have him eliminated, actually paid a grandmother $50 to walk up to me at the tower the next day and go, I mean, like walk her and all. Excuse me, Steampunk Jesus, can you help me? I'm like, which one of you bastards did it? Fess up now. Which one of you did it? And like for the rest of the weekend, it was like, yo, hey, Steampunk Jesus, shut up. I am not Steampunk Jesus. You know.
Well, you are though, Steampunk Jesus. So,
and on that,
Jesus, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's been fantastic. We really appreciate you being here. This has been Drinking with Authors, the Literary Briefs edition, starring Steampunk Jesus. And
that's going to be my cross to bear, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, I've been your host, Erica Lance. My co-host today has been the amazing Valerie Willis, and we will see you guys next time.